Though yet of Hamlet, our dear brother's death, the memory be green, and that it us befitted, to bear our hearts in grief, and our whole kingdom to be contracted in one brow of woe. Yet so far hath discretion fought with nature, that we with wisest sorrow think on him together with remembrance of ourselves. Therefore our sometime sister, now our queen, the imperial jointress to this warlike state, have we, as through with a defeated joy, with an auspicious and drooping eye, with mirth in funeral, and with dirge in marriage, in equal scale weighing delight and dole, taken to wife, nor have we herein barred your better wisdoms, which have freely gone with this affair along, for all our thanks. Now follows that you know young Fortinbras, holding a weak supposal of our worth, or thinking by our late dear brother's death, our state to be disjoined and out of frame. Colleagued with the dream of his advantage, he hath not failed to pester us with message, importing the surrender of those lands lost by his father with all bonds of law. To our most valiant brother, so much for him. Now for ourself, and for this time of meeting. Thus much the business is, we have here writ to Norway, uncle of young Fortinbras, who, impotent and bedridden, scarcely hears of this his nephew's purpose to suppress his further gait herein, and that the levies, the lists, and full proportions are all made out of his subject, and we here dispatch. You, good Cornelius, and you, good Voltimand, for bearers of this greeting to old Norway, giving to you no further personal power to business with the king more than the scope of those delayed articles allow. Farewell, and let your haste commend your duty.
My fate cries out. It makes each petty artery in this body as hardy as the Nemean lion's nerve. Still I am called. Unhand me, gentlemen. By heaven, I'll make a ghost of him that lets me. I say away, go on, I'll follow thee. Where wilt thou lead me? Speak, I'll go no further.
Mark me.
I will.
My hour is almost come, when I to sulphurous and tormenting flames must render up myself.
Alas, poor ghost.
Pity me not, but lend thy serious hearing to what I shall unfold.
Speak, I am bound to hear.
So art thou to revenge when thou shalt hear.
What?
I am thy father's spirit, doomed for a certain term to walk the night, and for the day confined to fasts and fires, till the foul crimes done in my days of nature are burnt and purged away. But that I am forbid to tell the tales of my prison house. I could a tale unfold to those lightest word, would harrow up thy soul, freeze thy young blood, make thy two eyes like stars start from their spheres, thy knotted and combined locks depart, and each particular hair to stand on end, like quills upon the fretful porpentine. But this eternal blazon must not be to ears of flesh and blood. List, list, O list, if thou didst ever thy dear father love.
Oh God!
Revenge is foul and most unnatural murder.
Murder?
Murder most foul is and the best it is, but this most foul, strange, and unnatural.
Haste me to know it, that I with wings as swift as the meditation or the thoughts of love may sweep to my revenge.
I find thee apt, and duller shouldst thou be than the fat weed that roots itself in ease on Leith wharf. Wouldst thou not stir this, now Hamlet here? 'Tis given out that sleeping in my orchard, a serpent stung me, so the whole ear of Denmark is by a forged process of my death, rankly abused. But know, thou noble youth, that serpent that did sting thy father's life, now wears his crown.
Oh, my prophetic soul, my uncle!
Ay, that incestuous, that adulterate beast, with witchcraft of his wit, with traitorous gifts, O wicked wit and gifts, that have the power so to seduce one to a shameful lust, the will of my most seeming virtuous queen. O Hamlet, what a falling off was there! From me, whose love was that of dignity, that it went hand in hand even with the vow I made to her in marriage, and to decline upon a wretch whose natural gifts were poor to those of mine. But virtue, as it never will be moved, so lust, though to a radiant angel linked, will sate itself in a celestial bed, and prey on garbage. But soft, methinks, I scent the morning air. Brief let me be. Sleeping within my orchard, my custom always of the afternoon, upon my secure hour, thy uncle stole, with juice of cursed Hebanon in a vial, and in the porches of my ear did pour the leprous stimulant, whose effect holds such an enmity with the blood of man, that swift as quicksilver it courses through the natural gates and alleys of the body, and with a sudden vigor doth possess and curd, like eager droppings into milk, the thin and wholesome blood, so did it mine. And a most instant tetter barked about, most laser-like with vile and loathsome crust all my smooth body. Thus was I, sleeping, by a brother's hand of life, of crown, of queen at once dispatched, cut off even in the blossoms of my sin, unhoused, disappointed, unanelled, no reckoning made, but sent to my account with all my imperfections on my head. O horrible, most horrible! If thou hast nature in thee, bear it not. Let not the royal bed of Denmark be a couch for luxury and damned incest. But howsoever thou pursuest this act, taint not thy mind, nor let thy soul contrive against thy mother aught. Leave her to heaven, and to those thorns that in her bosom lodge, to prick and sting her. Fare thee well at once. The glowworms show to the matin to be near, and gins to pale in ineffectual fire. Adieu, adieu. Hamlet, remember me.
Oh, all you host of heaven, oh earth, what else? And shall I couple hell? Oh, fie, hold my heart. And you, my sinews, grow not instant old, but bear me stiffly up. Remember thee. I, thou poor ghost, while memory holds a seat in this distracted globe, remember thee. Yeah, from the table of my memory, I'll wipe away all trivial fond records, all saws of books, all forms, all pressures past, that youth and observation copied there. And thy commandment all alone shall live within the book and volume of my brain, unmixed with baser matter, yes, by heaven. O most pernicious woman! O villain, smiling damn villain! My tables, meet it as I set it down, that one may smile and be a villain. At least I'm sure it may be so in Denmark. So, uncle, there you are. Now to my word. It is adieu, remember me. I have sworn.
Farewell. How now, Ophelia? What's the matter?
Oh, my lord, I have been so affrighted.
With what in the name of God?
My lord, as I was sewing in my closet, Lord Hamlet, with his doublet all embraced, no hat upon his head, his stockings fouled, unguarded, and down jibbed to his ankle, pale as his shirt, his knees knocking each other, and with a look so piteous and purport, as if he'd been loosed out of hell to speak of horrors, he comes before me.
Mad for thy love?
My lord, I do not know, but truly I do fear it.
What said he?
He took me by the wrist and held me hard. Then goes he to the length of all his arms, and with his other hand thus over his brow, he falls to such perusal of my face as he would draw it. Long stayed he so, at last a little shaking of mine arm, and thrice his head thus waving up and down, he raised a sigh so piteous and profound, as it did seem to shatter all his bulk and end his being. That done, he lets me go, and with his head over his shoulder turned, he seemed to find a way without his eyes, for out over doors he went without their helps, and to the last bended the light on me.
Come, go with me. I will go seek the king. This is the very ecstasy of love, whose violent property foredoes itself, and leads the will to desperate undertakings as oft as any passion under heaven that does afflict our natures. I am sorry. What? Have you given him any hard words of late?
No, my good lord, but as you did command, I did repel his fetters and deny his access to me.
That hath made him mad. I am sorry that with better heed and judgment I had not quoted him. I feared he did but trifle and meant to wreck thee. But beshrew my jealousy. By heaven, it is as proper to our nature to cast beyond ourselves and our opinions, as it is for the younger sort to lack discretion. Come, go we to the king. This must be known, which, being kept close, might move more hate to hide than grief to utter love.
Now I'm alone. What a rogue and peasant slave am I? Is it not monstrous that this player here, but in a fiction, in a dream of passion, could force his so to his own conceit? That from her working, all his visage waned. Tears in his eyes, distraction in aspect, a broken voice, and his whole function suiting with forms to his conceit, and all for nothing. For Hecuba. What's Hecuba to him, or he to Hecuba, that he should weep for her? What would he do had he the motive and the cue for passion that I have? He would drown the stage with tears and cleave the gentle ear with horrid speech. Make the mad guilty and appall the free. Confound the ignorant and amaze indeed the very faculties of eyes and ears. Yet I, a dull and muddy metal rascal, peak like a John a dreams, unpregnant of my cause, and can say nothing, no, not for a king, upon whose property and most dear life a damned defeat was made. Am I a coward? Who calls me villain, breaks my paid across, plucks off my beard and blows it in my face, tweaks me by the nose, gives me a lie the throat, as deep as to the lungs? Who does me this? Swounds, I should take it, for it cannot be but I am a pigeon-livered and lack gall to make oppression bitter. Or, ere this, I should have fatted all the region kites, with this slaves of all, bloody bawdy villain, remorseless, treacherous, lecherous, kindless villain. Oh, vengeance! Why, what an ass am I! This is most brave, that I, the son of a dear father murdered, prompted to my revenge by heaven and hell, must like a whore unpack my heart with words, and fall a-cursing like a very drab, a scullion. Fee upon foe about my brain. I have heard that guilty creatures sitting at a play have by the very cunning of the scene been struck so to the soul that presently they have proclaimed their malefactions. For murder, though it have no tongue, will speak with a most miraculous organ. I'll have these players play something like the murder of my father before mine uncle. I'll observe his looks. I'll tempt him to the quick. If he but blench, I'll know my course. The spirit that I've seen may be the devil, and the devil hath power to assume a pleasing shape. Yeah, and perhaps out of my weakness and my melancholy, as he is very potent with such spirits, abuses me to damn me. I'll have my grounds, more relative to his. The play's the thing wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king.
Good, my lord. How does your honor for this many a day?
I humbly thank you. Well.
My lord, I have remembrances of yours that I've long longed to redeliver. I pray you now receive them.
No, not I. I never gave you aught.
My honored lord, you know right well you did. and with them words of so sweet breath composed as made the things more rich. Their perfume lost. Take these things again, for to the noble mind rich gifts wax poor when givers prove unkind. There, my lord.
Are you honest?
My lord?
Are you fair?
What means your lordship?
That if you be honest and fair, your honesty should admit no discourse to your beauty.
Could beauty, my lord, have better commerce than with honesty?
Aye, truly. For the power of beauty will sooner transform honesty from what it is to a bawd, than the force of honesty can translate beauty into his likeness. This was sometime a paradox, but now time gives it proof. I did love you once.
Indeed, my lord, you made me believe so.
You should have not believed me. For virtue cannot so inoculate our old stock, but we shall relish of it. I loved you not.
I was the more deceived.
Get thee to a nunnery. Why wouldst thou be a breeder of sinners? I am myself indifferent honest, but yet I could accuse me of such things that it were better my mother have not borne me. I am very proud, ambitious, revengeful, with more offenses at my back than thoughts to put them in, imagination to give them shape, or time to act them in. What should such fellows as I do be crawling between earth and heaven? We aren't knaves all, believe none of us. Go thy ways to a nunnery. Where's your father?
At home, my lord.
Let the doors be shut upon him, that he may play the fool nowhere but in his own house.
Oh, you sweet heavens, help him.
If thou dost marry, I'll give thee this plague for thy dowry. Be thou as chaste as ice, as pure as snow. Thou shalt not escape calumny. To a nunnery, go, farewell. Or, if thou wilt needs marry, marry a fool, for wise men know well enough what fools you make of them. To a nunnery, go, and quickly too. Farewell.
Oh, heavenly powers, restore him.
I have heard of your paintings too well enough. God gives you one face, yet you make yourselves another. You jig, you amble, you lisp, and you nickname God's creatures and make your wantonness your ignorance. Go to, I'll no more on't. It hath made me mad. I say, those that are married today, all but one shall live. To a nunnery, go.
What noble mind is here overthrown? The courtier, soldier, scholars, eye-tongue, sword. The expectancy and the rose of the fair state. The glass of fashion and the mold of form. The observed of all observers quite down. And I, of ladies most dejected and wretched, that suck the honey of his music vows, now see the most noble and sovereign reason, like sweet bells jangled out of tune and harsh, that unmatched form and feature of blown youth, blasted with ecstasy. Oh, woe is me to have seen what I've seen. See what I see.
Love, his affections do not that way tend, nor what he spake, though it lacked form a little, was not like madness. There's something in his soul, on which his melancholy sits on brood, and I do doubt the hatch and the disclose will be some danger. Which, for to prevent, I have in quick determination thus set it down. He shall with speed to England, for the demand of our neglected tribute, haply the seas and countries different with variable objects, shall expel this something settled matter in his heart, wherein his brain still beating puts him thus from fashion of himself. What think you on it?
It shall do well, but yet do I believe the origin and commencement of his grief sprung from neglected love. How now, Ophelia? You need not tell us what Lord Hamlet said. We heard it all. My lord, do as you please, but if you hold it fit, after the play let his queen mother all alone entreat him to show his grief. Let her be round with him, and I'll be placed, so please you, in the ear of all their conference. If she find him not, to England send him, or confine him where your wisdom best shall think.
It shall be so. Madness and great ones must not unwatched go.
They bore him barefaced on the bier, and in his grave reigned many a tear. Fare you well, my dove. You must sing a downa, and you call him a downa. Oh, how the wheel becomes it. It is the false steward that stole his master's daughter. There's rosemary. That's for remembrance. Pray you, love, remember. And there's pansies, that's for thoughts. There's fennel for you, and columbines. There's rue for you, and here's some for me. We may call it herb of grace o' Sundays. You must wear your rue with a difference. There's a daisy. I would give you some violets, but they withered all when my father died. They said he made a good end. For bonny sweet Robin is all my joy. And will he not come again? And will he not come again? No, no, he is dead. Go to thy sad bed. He never will come again. His beard was as white as snow. All flaxen was his poll. He is gone, and we cast away moan. God have mercy on his soul. And to all Christian souls, I pray God be with you.
To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep, no more, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. To die, to sleep. To sleep, perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come, when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. For who would bear the whips and the scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely? the pangs of despised love, the law's delay, the insolence of office, and the spurns that patient merit of the unworthy takes, when he himself might his quittance make with a bare bodkin? Who would fardels bear? To grunt and sweat under a weary life, but that the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns, puzzles the will and makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others that we not know of. Thus conscience does make cowards of us all. And thus, the native hue of resolution is sickled o'er with the pale cast of thought, and enterprises with great pith and moment, with disregard their currents turn awry, and lose the name of action. Soft you now, the fair Ophelia. Nymph, in thy orisons, be all my sins remembered.